Hi folks, I'm General Power. Welcome to General Power Health. Today, I'm going to talk about reversing insulin resistance naturally. You've heard a lot about insulin resistance, but today's lesson is different. It's really superb, and I'll demonstrate for you to have the in-depth understanding about insulin resistance. I'm going to do that with a demonstration. When we talk about insulin resistance, I want you to have a better understanding and a deeper thought of it. Insulin resistance simply means your body stops responding well to insulin, and by so doing, your pancreas makes more insulin to compensate, which leads to higher insulin levels, and that eventually leads to higher blood sugar. I'm going to demonstrate for you to have the in-depth understanding of insulin resistance. But first, don't forget to comment, follow, like, share on my YouTube channel, subscribe, and be the first to get any video that I dropped. I'm going to make a demonstration for you to have an in-depth understanding about insulin resistance. For the purpose of illustration, we represent this container as pure carbohydrates or pure fats. That's the carbohydrates we've eaten. And this container represents glucose container, and this represents your fats container. This is the bloodstream for the purpose of illustration. So assuming you've taken 400 calories, this is it. And that 400 calories must be absorbed in the bloodstream, and the insulin is going to transport it through the bloodstream, and then it gets to the body cells and is being used up as energy. So we've taken or consumed 400 calories, and the bloodstream only requires 12 calories that needs to be transported by the glucose to the cells to be used up as energy. So there has been an excess calories. The glucose gets into the bloodstream, into tissues, and stored there. Now the 400 calories that has been the excess calories needs to be stored in the glucose container, and excess glucose is called glycogen, and this container can only store up to 1500 calories. And we normally say fat causes insulin resistance. No, it's the glucose or the excess glucose, that's the glycogen, that is being stored in the fat container. Since the glucose can only store up to 1500 calories, then the excess one will be stored in the fat container, and the fat container can store half a million of glucose or glycogen. The glucose stored in the glucose container is transferred into the fat container or fat cells, and later converted into fat for future storage. The glucose in the glucose container is transferred into your fat container and later converted into fat for future storage. Here lies the problem where you've been diagnosed of diabetes or your blood sugar spikes. Doctors only focuses on your blood sugar, and the blood sugar is not the first thing that they must focus on. They need to focus on your carb intake, because your carb intake causes the problem. Now, this can stop a million, and we've taken carbohydrate for a quite long period or years, and then this container gets full, and when it gets full, it needs to get burst, and before it gets burst, it overflows, and as it's overflowing, as a matter of time, it gets overflowed, it will get burst, and before it gets burst, it overflow or leaks. It leaks, and as it's leaking, its leakage causes your diabetes, and as it's leaking, its leakage causes higher blood sugar, and that higher blood sugar is the cause of your pre-diabetes and diabetes. And doctors focused on blood sugar instead of tracing the root cause to solve your diabetes for you. The first step for them is your blood sugar, but it shouldn't be the first. That must be the last. Your blood sugar must be the last thing they need to focus on. They need to focus on your carbohydrate intake. Reduce your carbohydrate intake in order to reverse your insulin resistance or your diabetes. Insulin resistance is the poorly diagnosed, most mismanaged, most misunderstood. But let me tell you, insulin resistance is the most easy reversed. Your insulin resistance starts many years before your diabetes. You can Google and make a research people diagnosed of insulin resistance in United States. Young adults 18 to 44 years, a significant portion, around 40 to 44.8% of this age group show insulin resistance in recent studies. Means insulin resistance is very critical, but is one of the most poorly diagnosed disease. Overall adults 20 plus, about 22% were found to have insulin resistance. Hello folks, so don't forget to contact me and then let's talk more about your health, how to reverse your health problems naturally without medication. I'm General Power, your health first, your health, your wealth. Change your mindset to improve your health. Hashtag improve your health with Unicity, Feel Great System, Minimate and Balance.